official. My name is John Freeman. I work with Product People. And again, welcome to our weekly event where, as part of our mission at Product People, we want to share product knowledge generously. And so, in an effort to do so, we conduct these weekly knowledge sharing sessions where we get wonderful people from the product community to come in and give us some interesting tidbits about their specific product of choice, or maybe a new and engaging field of product. And today we're going to be doing that with Ofir Natan. He's going to be speaking with us today. He is the CPO of Practical AI. And today the topic is going to be generative AI for product teams. So essentially, how can we use, as product managers, AI to make our lives a little bit easier? That's my interpretation of the presentation, at least at this stage. A little bit about me. My name is John Freeman. I'm with Product People. I've been in product and project management for about 5 years now, and I've also spent some time in the dark side of consultative sales. So if you've run into me in the medical tech world, I'm sorry if I sold you something that you didn't like. I don't know. I've been with Product People for about 6 months now. I'm a UCLA grad, so go Bruins. And that's enough about me for today. But what we do at Product People, we are in-house product managers and we act as interims. That means that if there is something like a maternity leave, a paternity leave, if a company is in between product managers, somebody has left, they've yet to fill that void. In these scenarios, we come in and we step in as the interims on a minimum 3-month basis, sometimes longer depending on the contracts. As long as really the company needs us there, we are there. And we work as product management as a service. We are what we consider to be the product trio. When you hire Product People, you're not just getting me or anybody on the team, you're getting multiples of us. So in the event that there is something that occurs, somebody can't make it to a meeting, we have backfill. So we ensure that your product continues to run smoothly during that interim period. We also provide coaching, consulting, and as I just mentioned, we have our product community where we have community events like the one you are joining today. And with all that being said, that didn't delete, skip forward. All that being said, I'm going to hand off the presentation to Ofir. Ofir, feel free to take it away.
Thank you, John. Let me share my screen for a quick second. Let me know when you can see it.
I can see it.
Awesome. Cool. So hi, everyone. And I'm Ofir. I'm the founder and CPO at Practical AI, and I'm happy to be here with you today. First of all, big thanks to the Product People community and team for organizing this meetup. Can you hear me well, John?
You sound great to me. Yeah.
Awesome. So, and thanks everyone for attending and taking the time off of your busy schedules. Together today, we're going to explore the realm of generative AI and ways you can harness its power to supercharge your products and your workflow and achieve more, keep up with the rapidly changing world of AI. A bit about Practical AI. Company helps teams achieve more and create new value through practical, human-centered AI strategy, upskilling, and integration programs. So we partner with teams on their journey to embed AI into their products and processes and culture. I started my career about 19 years ago as a tech officer in the Israeli intelligence, spent 5 years there, and then 10 more years as a senior software engineer at Intel and various startups in the AI domain, and was an OpenAI beta, early beta before anybody knew OpenAI. Moved to startup consulting around tech and product, mostly B2B SaaS, a few M&As, and joined ThriveDX as a chief product officer following an M&A of Cybint, a client of mine. In my spare time, I mentor product leaders, startups, PMs, and developers. So today, I prepared about 30 minutes of content for you, and we will leave about plenty of time for questions, about 30 minutes more, and we can go deep dive then about what you want to know more about. So take questions as we go. And we will start with a bit of introduction to generative AI for product managers, how to really grab and get a hold of this idea of generative AI, how it impacts us. Then talk a bit about integrating AI into our products. move to integrating into our workflow. I'll give you some real-world examples, use cases, and tools I've used in my team and with my customers, and touch on the mindset and skills we need to stay relevant in the market. And then we're going to take some questions. I'll also drop a link to all the resources and tools I show you here, so and much more. And there's a recording, so no need to write anything. Just be present, listen, participate, and you're covered. Maybe John, maybe you can show us just the quick poll to get to know everyone on the call here. So the question is, what part are you most curious to learn about today? So you can give a quick answer there, whether it's the introduction to generative AI for product managers, whether it's integrating into our products, our workflow, or mindset and skills. So hit that poll for a sec, and then we'll see what interests you the most, so we can tailor that as well in the Q&A. All right. So don't be shy, share with us. I think it's anonymous, right, John?
That is correct. These answers are anonymous. Don't you worry.
No worries. Awesome.
And we'll release the poll results in just a moment.
Cool. Awesome. So 36% are curious about the generative AI, what it means for product managers, and the mindset and skills. I think also the most important part allows you really to build on top of that. So we'll touch on all of these, and thank you everyone for responding. So let's dive in and see what all the hype is about and how it really is already affecting product management today. So as you probably noticed, AI is already changing the way we consume products and services. Web search is just one example. People are Googling less, or at least and chatting more. But it also affects the way we build products. One aspect is how we integrate AI into our product, usually required till now data science, BI expertise, and it's becoming more accessible and easier. The second way is the way we work when we build products. In our case, the PM role, leveraging AI tools and features to improve our work, and we'll touch on both of these aspects today. Global adoption of AI technology is pretty crazy, and I have a question in the chat for you. Does anybody know how long it took for ChatGPT to get to 100 million users? So write down in the chat. You can guess, let's say 1 year, or how many years or months or days or weeks. So give a guess in the chat. 3 months. So Kat, 2 months. Fabian, you're saying 3 months. 18 days, 1 month, 1 month. All right. So we have Charlotte and Ryan. So Kat, you are the winner, and David as well. 2 months. That's the correct answer. And so ChatGPT took 5 days to get to 1 million users, 2 months to get to 100 million users, and 6 months to get 1 billion users. So AI is the biggest platform shift since the internet, then cloud, then mobile, and now AI is the next super cycle, disrupting industries, images, chatbots, video education, how we search, audio, music, film, and the list goes on. This disruption is expanding to more and more areas and roles. And the trend of integrating AI into our products is accelerating and moving really fast, crossing the chasm from early adopters to late majority in 6 months. According to a product board survey, 74% of startups are already launching an AI feature or planning, and more than half will do it this year. In larger companies, numbers are closer to almost 90%, according to Deloitte CTO last week. But the interesting part for us is that only 30% of those companies are hiring new people to do it. That means relying on existing people to do it, and which basically means us. So how critical are product managers in this AI transformation is one question. And another one is, you're probably wondering, will AI take our jobs? So according to the new Future of Jobs report by the World Economic Forum, published last month, PMs are among the roles most selected by organizations as key for this transformation. So whether we like it or not, it's our job to help lead this new wave of disruption. And that's expected from us, or soon will be. And it kind of makes sense, right? Who else will lead product innovation if not us, right? And the most important question, maybe, will AI take our job or change it, and how so? So I believe AI will not replace product managers, but product managers who master and leverage AI will ultimately replace those who don't. If you think about what the Excel did to accounting, this is very similar in terms of, I don't think there's an accountant today that is not using software. So throughout this session, I'll show you why I think so, and what you can do to future-proof yourself, your team, your product. In less than 2 years, most digital experiences will include an AI element, shopping online, personal finance, enterprise SaaS. All products will have an AI assistant or co-pilot or feature, and most big companies have released or announced, giants leading with GitHub Copilot by Microsoft from last year. It helps developers write code faster, 55% faster, according to GitHub. I'm a developer myself, and I can tell you, for me, it's much more than that. And it's a real game changer, so much so that the hottest new programming language is now English, according to Andrej Karpathy, the former chief of AI for Tesla. And I believe in about 5 to 10 years, we won't have many people who just write code. Other engineering skills like solution architecture, machine instruction will become critical, but this affects us as PMs in the short term. When R&D moves faster, we need to move faster and feed the beast, right? So we can also iterate faster, shorten our release cycles, learn faster from our experiments and users, and so that's an opportunity. And for ourselves, we can become truly full stack, at least to some extent. For rapid prototyping, for examples, things that we needed R&D and developers and designers to do may not be the case anymore. And I'll show you examples in a very short while. So Microsoft 365, and for Windows and Google followed. And of course, Salesforce released their Slack summarization and extracting to-dos and drafting replies. And more cool features are coming. And Miro, tool many product managers use, can generate user stories. It can generate mind maps and user flows. And this is all from prompting. And other product and work tools like HubSpot and Monday and Asana and Atlassian and Notion are doing the same. So this trend will continue in the upcoming years, and we need to be ready in terms of our own product and our own capability. A bit about where generative AI is located. So under this broad umbrella called AI, we have generative AI. It's a sub-branch of deep learning and focused on creating new things from existing data, text, images, audio, video, 3D, etc. And it includes generative pre-trained transformers, or GPTs, that's what it stands for, like ChatGPT, and large language models like PaLM 2 by Google and Llama by Meta and GPT-4 by OpenAI. And on top of those, we can build applications like ChatGPT and our own apps and services, which I think is the more important, interesting part for us. In this talk, I won't go deep into the history, technical details of AI technology, but I highly recommend taking some time to learn more. And I've included some entry to mid-level resources I think every PM should start ramping up on these days at the handout at the end. So take a look at that. Very cool stuff from Google, from Microsoft, from Deep Learning AI. So let's talk a bit about applications. Text is the kind of most well-known use case for marketing content. It's huge, and I'll show you some use cases. Sales, emails, support chat instead of people, or email drafting, general writing, long form, product requirement documents, note-taking, user interviews, a lot of other stuff. And code generation, we kind of mentioned, but it's changing how people build apps, translate between languages, and we can actually even build web apps with prompting instead of coding. Image generation, social media, advertising, product design, which I'll show you some cool stuff, how design will look like very soon, or is already starting to look like. Speech, voice synthesis for videos, for marketing content, for education content, it's big. Video, of course, editing, generation, and 3D models, changing how industrial work is done. Architecture, gaming, of course, is a massive Unity update of text to metaverse type of interfaces, music, audio, and the list goes on and on. But with great power comes great responsibility. And as PMs, you will need to manage some of those risks and concerns of these powerful technologies and not only get the glory. Those include accuracy, hallucinations. We've all seen probably some crazy stuff that the outputs of the models can generate. And safety in terms of bias and toxicity, harmful output, those are examples also they're plentiful. And data privacy, are we leaking our own data, our enterprise data, our customers' data to a third-party vendor? Security is big now, prompt injection and jailbreaking the model in order to make it do stuff that we didn't plan for. Copyrights, who owns the output, and OpenAI is handling a bunch of lawsuits right now on those fronts. Ethics and responsibility, are we displacing jobs with our features? Are we introducing misinformation? Are we impacting the environment when we use a lot of inference power on GPUs? This is stuff that can be addressed, but mostly they can be managed. It's a separate talk, but I'm going to give you an analogy to fire and electricity. Despite the risks, of course, fire can kill us or burn a whole city, and electricity can, of course, do a lot of damage, but humanity leveraged those to the max. We have an oven to control our fire now, and we have grounding in our electric sockets and safety measures, and we power everything with electricity and fire. So if you're thinking, oh, I cannot really use it, it's too risky, think about those points in history when the first people played with fire and electricity and kind of think where we are going into. So let's talk a bit about, I'm hoping, by the way, you're writing down questions for the end. So let's talk a bit about how to integrate it into our own products, which is very interesting. And I have some good news for you. Although it's new tech with new risks, we can still treat it similarly to any other product or feature with full life cycle and best practices. But we need to master a new language and a new technology with its unique capabilities and limitations, and to consider those in each life cycle step. So we'll always be starting with kind of building a compelling AI use case, which I'll explain very shortly. That's the important part. And then we'll try to assess the viability, how complex, how easy, and how risky it is, and screen for our experiments. And then, because it's new technology, it's not really run to production. We need to kind of play with it, proof it, get buy-in, develop it, and release it. Due to time constraints, we'll focus on the first and most important part, which is why most AI features don't make it to production or fail to get adoption, which is creating a compelling AI use case first. So 2 core factors to assess a generative AI use case is viability, which means how easy or hard it is to implement, considering your data, infrastructure, expertise, resources, and so on. And the other one is business value or impact, which is pretty obvious. Let's identify the main AI use case categories. So the first one, I call it rock stars. These are the high impact, pretty straightforward to implement dream use cases for any AI project. One example could be uncovering compliance risks, predicting churn. If you're an e-commerce app, next best offer, usually highly ROI positive. And those are probably the easy ones to go for. But before that, we have the quick wins, because rockstars may take a bit more time to develop. Lower impact, but very quick to implement. Excellent showcases of what AI can do for you. And great stepping stones towards more complex projects. Examples can be customer segmentation, sentiment analysis from customer feedback, Q&A chatbots, like support bots over your product data. And those are nice to start from. These category I call exploration projects. They're high impact, but very complex for now. You're maybe missing a lot of data to work with, or tech constraining you, and you need more time and resources. Examples can be predictive maintenance, personalized risk assessment, autonomous bots, which are not yet fully baked, and so on. And this category almost last is maybe laters. These are lower impact, lower viability. Check back later as tech moves really fast. And the reason we don't want to discard them is because maybe they turn into quick wins in a month when a new release comes out of a certain capability by OpenAI or another vendor. This area right here is called Shinyville or Cool Town. These are not really unique value, but super quick, sexy, fun use cases out of the box tools or APIs. They're good for SEO, marketing and PR, pet projects for learning. An example I've seen a customer do, a video platform, put on the website an image generator. Now, you can use DALL-E or Midjourney or whatever, but still very cool and got a lot of SEO traffic in there. So that's a nice kind of cool town feature. So another poll here, we have another quick question before we move on to the next. Maybe, John, you can pop that one up. It's how are you using Gen AI in your team today? Mostly ChatGPT individual usage, running Gen AI experiments, integrated Gen AI into products in production, or formally integrated Gen AI into day-to-day workflows. So choose one, or I think this is actually a multiple choice one, but choose the one you're mostly kind of using or is seeing. So just choose the best one for you. And submit.
Give a few more seconds and then we'll submit the response.
Sure. I'm guessing, but I'm not sure. Okay, so I guessed correctly. I was going to say number one would be 60+%. And indeed, actually, it's a multiple choice. So I've never done it on a single one, but indeed, mostly ChatGPT individual usage. That's the majority. So that's good. I think that really represents where we are now at. And I hope that I'm going to introduce you a bit to more advanced and more diverse tools today and capabilities. That's the next section. So thanks everyone for taking the poll. Let's talk about focusing on you as product managers and what you can do today to make your job easier. Imagine a world where a person or a team with little to no coding experience or design skills can quickly will into existence, fully work in applications and digital experiences using simple language like English. That world is practically here, as I will demonstrate very soon. And the future the future PM, will be much more full stack, productive, and creative, quick to iterate, data informed, and focused on customers' pains, and the rest AI will gradually help us with. Starting really is the hardest part, starting anything really. It's called the blank canvas syndrome. And for us, for our users, Gen AI tools are very good for starting out new tasks, drafting, especially when we're doing something for the first time where we generate and edit, kind of copy and modify is a good strategy. In areas where we are very proficient, we have our systems, our templates, it's not as helpful, although there maybe you have an opportunity to kind of become a superhuman creator. But before we dive into real world examples from my own work, I'll go over really quickly like 30+ PM use cases already being covered by tools and prompts to some extent to give you an idea where it may be useful for you. And I've included those links in the end. And then I'll deep dive and take you through a real world example of a full product lifecycle. So really reading them quickly just to save time. PRDs, user journeys, premortems, user studies, launch communications, ideation sessions. I'll show you some of those very soon. SWOT analysis, I'll show you. Expert consultation is really good. User personas, I'll also show you. Pricing psychology, really interesting one, unique as well. A lot of us struggle there. User stories are the classic ones. A/B validation plans. Sometimes it's hard to plan an A/B test, and it turns out some of those tools were trained on some of that data. Welcome emails, North Star metrics, hard framework planning to create metrics. release notes, a very mundane kind of drudgerous task we can definitely offload. Feature announcement, summarizing user feedback, jobs to be done, funnels, press releases, mom test. I'll show you an example as well. Ideation, product copies, market sizing, and the list goes on and on and on. Opportunity solution trees is a cool one. So we have, I'll show you a bit, but we have tons of stuff we can try and play with. So it's not just limited to basics. And the best way to learn any skill really is to experiment. No one has ever learned something from reading. So that's what I decided to do with my team back in Feb. And we kind of built a whole product that we had to build, and we used AI tools throughout the journey. And I'll just take you through that, but I won't sugarcoat it. I gave a 1 to 5 kind of bar on each one of the tools, and I'm going to give you the real how it went version of stuff. Okay. Keep in mind, it was a while back, and stuff has evolved since then, and I'll mention those as well. So what we're going to do right now, we are going to build a secure coding challenge for developers together. This is a lead generation tool. I'll give you a very quick background so you'll understand the story. I was a CPO at ThriveDX. We acquired a young startup called Contra. It's an application security training platform for developers. That means interactive short simulations to learn how to write more secure code. And it's just training, but there's no assessment capability. You don't know how you did, how better are you before you started. And we wanted to kind of scale it, raise brand awareness, and generate more leads. And then we decided to do a challenge for developers. So this is what we're going to build. And one last note, the company we acquired had only freelance developers, no designer, all was front-end coded. And so if we wanted to design a new product based on the existing experience, it was kind of doing it from scratch. So let's see how we went for that. So we started with, because it was an M&A, new market, new persona developers, we started out with a market competition analysis, compiling a list of all the companies in the abstract training and assessment space in a table, and went directly to do a SWOT analysis to find our unique position and opportunity. After looking at what our competitors have, we identified that the user experience of our competitors is really weak, and for us it's a strength, and we'll make sure ours is super slick, like developers like it. Overall, it was a pretty good experience, but because it was before the age of web search plugins, then the latest competitor was missing, so I gave it a 4 out of 5. Today, it's probably even better. And then we went to userpersona.dev, created a user persona, put like a prompt there, an interactive AppSec training platform for enterprise developers, and created some user personas. This is David. He's a software developer from San Francisco. You can generate as many as you want. He has kind of difficulty to stay up to date with latest security vulnerabilities and learn how to write more secure code. It was not deep enough, so I gave it a 3.5 and went to further interview our customer persona before we ever met one and speak to them. So this is kind of speaking to David, asking their sentiment towards application security and day-to-day challenges. And the experience was really good and fast. We were able to kind of have a conversation, but the memory was short back in the day. So we kind of ping-ponged, and then no more memory. Had to start from scratch. Gave it a 4. Today, it's probably better with GPT-4. I wouldn't recommend replacing real interviews anytime soon, but that was definitely a nice way to start off our exploration. Then we went to writemyprd.com, kind of prompted a few lines there and got a fairly good PRD to start from, some user stories, requirements, functional specifications. It offered to do a landing page and then interactive quiz section, and then a leaderboard with a CTA to convert the users, the testers, and then a survey at the end. So all makes sense, right? Super helpful, gave it a 4. Of course, we needed to modify and edit and all that stuff, but still very cool. And then we went to stories. Let's write some good user stories. This one is for the landing page, which we suggested in the PRD, and then another one for the conversion page. It had 2 CTAs, book a free trial, share on social media, because we wanted to go viral, And overall, the experience was good. By the way, I have prompting guides all lined up for you at the end, so don't worry, you'll get everything in terms of how to prompt for stuff. So 3.5 on GPT 3.5 today probably is going to be a 4+ with GPT-4. It was pretty verbose, a lot of words, so we had to kind of tone it down. And then we came to the design. So let's get the design going, but we didn't want to start from scratch. We already have a platform. This is how a training platform looks like. And we wanted to kind of take from there and use those assets and save us a lot of time. And we looked at something called UI Zard. And I'm going to show you something cool. They have a feature called Auto Designer. And what you can do here, you can write down. So what you are seeing here now is a weather app for Mars, and a dating app for magical people, and vegan pet food, and a stationery store, and all that stuff is just from prompting, and you get editable mockups. So 2 weeks ago, I got my own access to this tool. It was beta back then, and now I'm going to show you something cool. I created, I prompted the system. I'm going to put this on 2x the speed. This is Airbnb for puppies. So I asked it to build an Airbnb for puppies. I don't know if you can see it, but this was just 3 words, Airbnb for puppies, and you have here a fully editable design. You have here the page for the search, and then you have your filters, vaccinated, not vaccinated. It even called it puppy stay, which is pretty witty. It's like stay for a dog. You see there's a Bambi there, and there's some weird foot, like there's a cat, of course, and there's this bear cat weird kind of theft. But let's for and this horse, I don't know what it is, but let's ignore the images for a sec. This is a complete design with wireframes. You're seeing the wireframe on the back end, and you can have a clickable mockup generated from this. And this is 3 words, right? And you can change the entire style and the color, and take the templates and send out a clickable mockup. And this is pretty cool. So anyways, this wasn't available back in the day, but imagine how the John, maybe we can mute saying things. Imagine how the PM design work will look in a few years from now with these software. And they also have a feature for wireframe to mockup and heat map prediction, where users will look on your app, text assistant and image assistant inline within the design. You can switch the pasta images inside your mockups just by running through it. We wanted the screenshot to design feature. We wanted to take a screenshot of the old UI, import it to a new one, and that didn't really work well back in the day. We gave it a 2. You see there's no buttons here. The text is all over the place. But the AI design tool race is on with Adobe and Microsoft and Canva and Figma. This is changing UX, UI as well. So for those who are working with UX, UI inside your team, worth checking out those tools. Eventually, we found a tool called HTML to Design. We put a link to the original training website and imported the entire thing in 2 clicks and gave it a 5. And the lesson here was sometimes there are good battle-tested tools with no AI at all. So don't get lost in the hype. We spent time on it. Eventually, no AI did the trick. So don't forget, it's new technology. It takes time. Naming, always a hard thing to do. People get emotionally attached to their names that they suggest. We said, no way, let's offer 10 names. Ran a survey. This co-defender name was the one chosen to do it. We gave it a 5. It was like 5 minutes. And we were with a name, which made a lot of sense. Generating the actual content for inside the product, code questions. We used the chat and put the code there inside the test. We converted between 10 different languages instead of taking 10 different developers and saying, hey, write a snippet. We did this, and it was very, very effective, and we gave it a 4. Marketing copy, we used Jasper AI. We set the tone of voice to developer, wrote some keynote keywords that we want to include. It actually recommends them as well, some paragraphs to get them started. And now we can actually convert users at the end of the training just to to go and try the free trial for the training and so on. Gave it a 4. We didn't have a marketing team a video production team as well, and we wanted to do a video. So we used a tool called DID, which lets you kind of generate video avatars. So this is a developer, young man in 30s, brown hair, t-shirt, geeky. These are the images it creates. You put a text, you gave it a casual, friendly voice, and eventually it was a pretty creepy result. We didn't want to scare off our developers, so we found it not yet mature, but it's going there. It's a really good tool, and they are actually very good with the ready-made avatars. These ones, kind of the lips, the eyes, something auto-generated is not always the best way. So maybe sometimes you can choose their ready-made avatars, which are really smooth. Last thing, we made a user interview script that passes the mom test, asking the right questions to reveal authentic insights. Super helpful, really good questions, gave it a 4. All these prompts are in the guides as well. So did we do it? Sort of. Some things were better than we expected and were like ideation, text and code generation, and others didn't go as well, so like UI-based screenshot to UI and video generation not yet mature, but the tools were either quick to succeed or quick to fail. Not much time was lost on failures, but a lot of time was gained on wins, and the team felt empowered and excited and has been using Gen AI since then frantically. Running through really quickly, product support, really good use case. This is an old product wiki, technical one. You can't find anything. This is a search for a creation of a campaign inside a security product. Very horrible. We had to change it. We just took a off-the-shelf tool to provide a chat interface for our product technical documentation. You get it in screenshots. You can chat with it and then move it over to human support if you don't find the answer. And that reduces the tickets and improves the service dramatically using off-the-shelf technology called Mendable. This product, I've included the link as well. The real cool thing is that a lot of product managers, especially the technical people, get a lot of questions from sales, support, customer success, marketing all the time. This really reduced the load on the product team and solution engineering team. 24/7, people from inside the company started asking questions, getting really to resolve issues faster. And the cool thing is you can analyze insights after. So when people converse with a bot and not a human support, they ask all sorts of questions they usually won't ask. So you're kind of discovering what really your pain points in the product are. And you can see that you can teach the model where it doesn't know the answer, you can teach it. So you only answer the same questions once. So since it was a technical support page, low risk, high reward, I highly recommend checking it out. Quick recommendation, Craftful plugin for ChatGPT. It's a product management assistant or coach. You can ask questions. This is a user story, best practices. You can do it on interviews, prioritization, just inside your ChatGPT. Very cool. Another recommendation is to check out automations with Zapier and ChatGPT. Create periodic Jira tickets or Slack summaries and extract to-dos from meeting summaries, put them to Monday. Zapier is an integration tool to connect essentially generative AI to all other products, Google, Microsoft, etc. So very, very recommended. And now we're coming into the shortest but most important part, I think, and then we're going to take questions, which is AI mindset, how to avoid the hype and really kind of learn to use this technology effectively. So there are countless use cases popping up every day. And how do we not get lost in the hype, but also make sure ourselves, our teams, our companies are not left behind? We need to adapt what I call an AI mindset. AI is a powerful partner, co-pilot, brainstorming buddy. But before we start a new task, we need to ask ourselves, can AI help me with this? Can integrating AI create new value? Or really simple terms, is there an AI for that? And luckily, there are places we can go and check, like there's an AI-for-that.com is one example. And they even have a ChatGPT plugin, so you don't even have to leave your ChatGPT. This is me asking what's the best tool to chat with the PDF, getting links to the product themselves and kind of description. So very cool. We have future tools that's like an app store, either rated and voted and very, very easy to filter through. One word of advice: manage your risk. Don't go for legit companies with actual data privacy, security, terms and conditions, costs that are predictable, and don't go for the week-old startup that just kind of put something cool on Product Hunter and not really going anywhere. So that's it. Last, before we go into summarize, skills for a new way of working. Microsoft suggests that we need to develop a few skills or core skills those are 7 skills that they call AI skills. And I'll go through quickly, and I've attached the Microsoft Trend Index report to you for you to read more. We have flexibility. Flexibility is really the key here, rapidly adjusting to AI integration in our workflow. This is about 30% of our kind of skill map. Emotional intelligence is how do they determine to leverage human capability instead of AI. And analytical judgment is the other way. When do we determine to leverage AI instead of humans? Creative evaluation means how do we evaluate content produced by AI? Intellectual curiosity is how to ask AI the right questions. Bias detection is to evaluate the fairness of the decision-making of the model. And eventually we have AI delegation, directing AI with the right prompts. I'm not going to go into too many details here, but I'm going to recommend you to read it. It's really, really interesting. And before we summarize, I leave you with a choice. Will you leverage AI or keep doing it yourself like you've done so far? So let's summarize. AI is changing product management, and PMs mastering AI will replace those who don't. To stay up to date and avoid the hype, we need to adopt an AI mindset. Start by asking, is there an AI for that every time you start a new task? Achieve more with less using AI skills and tools, but be mindful of selecting the right ones. And we can create new value for our customers, our organizations with AI features, and we need to manage the risks and limitations of this new technology and be acquainted with them, preferably sooner than later. And last advice to you: start now and experiment, find what works best for you and your team, and don't wait too much because things are moving faster than we can imagine. So thanks for listening. And this is a link you can scan, or I'm going to also paste it in the chat for you here, everyone. So you can go and see here. There's resources, tools, links, ways to connect with me, and also a short feedback form. I'd appreciate if you take the 2 minutes and help me improve the content. So thank you in advance for your feedback. And we're going to go to the questions part. With this, I'll stop my sharing and hand it over to you, John.
Wow, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen in just a moment. Just got to hit the right buttons. Here we are. And can everybody see my screen again? Okay. I hope that is the case. All right. Can I get a confirmation? Somebody could see?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much.
The chat for your comment, and Gileb Ogleb. It was me speaking, I promise. I wish I had a bot speaking, like doing the talks for me, and I can chill.
That'll be the next generation of AI tools. So everybody, regardless of which platform you're on, feel free to submit your questions via the chat. So if you're on YouTube, if you're on LinkedIn, if you're here with us in Zoom, please feel free to submit those questions. We'll consolidate them and ask them. While we're doing that, while we're collecting those questions, just want to give you a bit more information about Product People, what we do. Again, as I mentioned previously in the introduction, we do act as interim and fractional product managers. We're not product management consultants in the traditional sense, meaning we don't show up and give you a product strategy and hand you a big deck or a presentation and then leave. No, we're actually running the day-to-day operations. We're diving deep into Jira. We're having those stakeholder interactions. We are acting product managers for our clients during an interim period where we are perhaps there just for a small period of time for a parental leave, maybe even a longer period of time, or maybe you are a small startup that doesn't necessarily know what you want to do just yet with starting your product management organization, and we can help you set that up. We also do product coaching and consulting as a side gig, mostly about training. Again, not handing you off a deck and then walking away and saying goodbye, but training and helping folks understand how to implement best practices within their organization. We do product discovery at work as well, as we are acting as those interim fractional product managers, helping companies discover the right products faster. What we're not doing, not recruiters, we're not freelancers. If you work for us, you are an employee of Product People, and we're not a development or design agency, but now we might be using AI tools to help us with our development and design, maybe. We'll see. And what that means, because we're not a freelance marketplace, when you hire us, what you're actually hiring is what we call the product trio. What that means is you don't just get me, you get me and several other folks that work with me, two other folks, that in the event that I can't make it to a meeting, I have backup. In the event that I'm sick, somebody can fill in. So therefore, your organization, we keep things moving. Few of our B2C clients, some of them you may have heard of, and some of our B2B clients that you may have heard of as well. People love working with us. I think you would too if you decide to hire us. We've done a lot of really cool stuff in the product space. We're all great looking, friendly people. And we're hiring, and that link will be included at the end as well. And if somebody wants to find me on LinkedIn and get some insights as to how that process works, I'm happy to help. And now, with that being said, I'm going to start reading off some of the questions that have been coming in. One moment. So the first question I see is from YouTube, from Exiria. How will the expectations of PMs change? How do you think it will affect the interview process?
So good question. I think I would actually expect product managers these days to, first of all, I think it may solve one of the hardest problems of interviewing, which is giving product managers exercises like a home assignment, and they need to spend like 2 days on it or something. So I would really expect to see PMs leveraging AI tools when they interview and when they create their home assignments, and addressing that, kind of saying, we researched the market, we kind of summarized it, we used AI tools. I would recommend or expect them to be upfront about it, about using what AI tools, how to use, even share the prompts and the outputs, because to me that only shows that they're able to and familiar with it and not afraid of it. So first of all, I definitely recommend, I don't know if you know this, but education is going crazy. I've participated in a hackathon from the education space, and like 75% of teachers are using it in the classroom. Almost 90% of the students are using it in school. And it's the same thing for the job market, really. You would expect people to use them, to leverage them, and to mention that they have done so, and really mention what you did with AI and what you did after, kind of post-processing without AI. To me, everything in the workplace is about outcomes and performance. And if you know how to be AI powered and you actually speak about it proudly, that's points scored for me. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Or at least it answered it for me. Hopefully it answered it for Mixerella, and apologies if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. The next question is coming from Artur from Zoom. I like this question. It's interesting. So I've also played with hardware, Artur. Is AI relevant for PM building hardware products? Would an AI tool be able to choose the right electrical components or materials, the right constraints, for example? How do we think this is going?
Great question. As a former Intel employee, I can tell you AI has been used across the hardware lifecycle for many years, classical ones, right, to detect optimization paths. But I've actually came across a recent article where AI has optimized chip design in a way that was impossible or unimaginable to that team. So the question is, hell yes, definitely. It does so in a very, very efficient manner, and hardware acceleration and hardware products building is definitely a good place to use AI for. Of course, you'll have to be very specific about what tools you're using and what prompts. For example, if you're building hardware, physical hardware, there's a lot of good stuff you can do with product design, physical product design. I've seen some great stuff around industrial engineering. And if you're talking about hardware like chips, manufacturing, microcircuits, and so on, I definitely imagine this is a wave of upcoming technology. And I've already seen kind of initial sparks of that in the chip industry. I hope that answers, but definitely yes.
Very cool. I've got a question from Maria on YouTube. She says, thank you for the presentation. And could you please share how you would address the problem of services like ChatGPT and the team being able to store data on their servers and use it for their training models in the event that we're using this for secure reasons, so to speak? We don't want that data out there. They're using that data for training. How do you feel about that?
So first of all, it depends if you're paying or not. So if you're paying, you can opt out. It's very easy. If you're a personal user like ChatGPT Premium Plus, you just disable in settings. You can kind of go into incognito mode and they don't use it. If you're an API user, and you're building on top of their API, it's not used to train the model. So that's you're good. And if you want to do enterprise stuff, you have a few options. You can go with a vendor like Microsoft Azure OpenAI, and they have an enterprise ChatGPT version that is kind of siloed. And if you want to go with the regular ChatGPT, you have already security companies releasing plugins like Layer X, which filter out PII and private data and before you input it and kind of become a layer between you and the chat interface. Having said that, it's also about being aware and responsible in how we use it. Don't put your personal information, don't put your users' personal information in there, just to be completely sure and safe, just as you won't, post it online. Don't try to kind of screen and filter the data you use. But this is a problem that is going to go away very soon. It's already kind of being handled. Just costs money, of course.
Yeah, it seems to be the way the world works.
Yeah, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product, so you're used to train the product. It's the same way on Facebook, on Google, or any other platform. You might want to be thinking about your Google searches in the same way.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, maybe it's a bit like that. I hope that answers. Yes.
Thank you. Next question is from Sally on Zoom. And I think this is a stakeholder management question, if I'm interpreting it correctly. How do you recommend to squeeze time to experiment with all these different AI technologies, given that everyone's so busy with commercial rollouts and the day-to-day activities? How do we, I guess, enable ourselves to be able to experiment with these tools?
Great question. And I think one of the things I've noticed is that the tech team, the R&D teams, and even maybe the marketing teams were the first ones to play in the product managers being the busiest focal points of everything, feel they don't have enough time. They're juggling all the time anyway. So that starts with aligning what you're experimenting with your objectives, business objectives of the company, of the team, KPIs. So if you're going to experiment with one of those quick wins, or around even the what I refer to as Shinyville projects that have some value and can actually do some good for the team and for the company, I think you'd pretty much get managers buy-in very easily. And also one thing I want to say, it doesn't take more than usually 15 minutes to try out a tool. So I would start with just trying out one tool a week, specifically just for fun, and seeing how it works for you. Regarding integration of AI capabilities, this is a bit more complex, but I would start advocating for a hackathon day, or some other framework, an AI champions program inside the company, in order to make sure that this is not on top. I mean, this is part of your job to stay up to date. And you can also, what I found works well is to ask the HR or the corporate learning and development team for some courses or resources in order to buy a course or to participate in a conference. And usually that just accounts as personal development. So that's another avenue you can go if you're in like a big enterprise, and that's something that exists. I hope that answers. But generally, to give you the real, Israelis are very honest, kind of, we call it tachlis. We really kind of say that you have to find the time also for yourself, and not only as part of your job. It's because us, generally as professionals in a fast-moving world, we're responsible for our own personal development first. And our employer may help us, but we need to find the time and experiment and learn. Otherwise, we'll get lost. We get stuck behind.
The next question comes from YouTube from Barros. Have you explored or experimented with any AI tools that can manage development and the test and launch workflows of the product management process?
So development is the R&D is like a lot of tools there, kind of GitHub Copilot and other type of kind of workflow tools. But if we're talking about product management lifecycle, like a complete AI tool for that, I think that really is the domain of the regular product lifecycle tools that are integrating AI features. So you have Miro, you have Asana, you have Atlassian, which like Jira and all those, they already have ticket summarization, kind of understanding of user feedback summarization, a lot of other stuff. So I would start with using our existing tools and trying to find if they have AI features, maybe even in beta, and we just need to turn it on or send out an email. So I would start with what we already use. I would not try to look for a completely overarching AI tool to do our entire life cycle, because it would need to integrate into so many points in the system. I would start by using AI features in our existing workflow tools. And then if that doesn't work for me, which is unlikely, I would go and look for a specific one. But if I had enough time, I just go on and there's an AI for that, and just kind of Google it in there or search for it, and maybe there's something.
Great.
I'll do it in the background, maybe.
Wonderful. Well, everybody, that is all the time we have today. I want to again thank Ofir for really just a fantastic presentation and exposing us to all these different technologies that we as product people, not just us at Product People, but all of us as product people are going to need to use to ensure that not only we stay relevant, but that we can help our customers and our companies develop the best products possible faster. Thank you again. In just a moment.